Mark Consuelos has always been known as one of Hollywood's most charming, composed, and effortlessly cool personalities. Whether it's his magnetic presence on screen or the easy chemistry he shares with his wife Kelly Ripa on the hugely popular morning talk show Live with Kelly and Mark, he has built a reputation for being someone who keeps it together. But behind that polished exterior, there has been a storm quietly brewing, one rooted in grief, love, and the complicated emotions that come with losing a parent. Recently, Mark stepped forward and did something that has left fans, media, and even his closest followers completely stunned. He revealed a deeply personal truth about his relationship with his late father, a truth he says he had never said out loud before. And the internet, understandably, has not stopped talking about it. For those who may not know, Mark Consuelos was born on March 30th, 1971, in Zaragoza, Spain, to an Italian father and a Mexican mother. He grew up in a multicultural household that moved across different parts of the world before eventually settling in the United States. His upbringing was rich in cultural identity, and his father played a foundational role in shaping the man Mark became. Long before Mark was gracing television screens and red carpets, he was a son, deeply connected to his roots and to the family values instilled in him from a young age. Mark first rose to mainstream fame through his role as Mateo Santos on the iconic soap opera All My Children, which is also where he famously met Kelly Ripa. The two fell in love on set, eloped in 1996, and have since become one of Hollywood's most enduring and beloved couples. Together they share 3 children, Michael, Lola, and Joaquin, and have built what appears to be a beautifully grounded family life despite the pressures of fame. Mark has also expanded his career significantly in recent years, taking on more dramatic roles and now co-hosting Live with Kelly and Mark after Ryan Seacrest's departure, stepping into a spotlight that is both personal and professional. But through all of the success, one chapter of his life remained largely private: his relationship with his father, and the profound grief he experienced following his passing. In a candid and emotionally charged moment that has resonated with millions, Mark Consuelos opened up about the painful reality of his father's death and, more significantly, the truth he had been carrying silently ever since. Speaking in what can only be described as a moment of extraordinary vulnerability, Mark admitted that there were things left unsaid between him and his father, feelings, words, and truths that he had suppressed for reasons that many of us on some level understand all too well. Whether it was the cultural weight of masculinity and emotional stoicism, the busyness of life, or simply the assumption that there would always be more time, Mark carried this emotional burden alone for far longer than anyone knew. What makes this revelation so striking is that Mark is not someone who typically wears his heart on his sleeve publicly. He is known for being warm and personable, yes, but deeply private when it comes to family matters, particularly when it involves pain. For him to finally speak these words aloud, to bring them from the silence of his inner world into a public conversation, signals just how significant this moment of reckoning has been for him. He reflected on the kind of relationship he had with his father, one built on love, respect, and the unspoken language that often exists between fathers and sons, especially in cultures where emotional expression is not always openly encouraged. Mark described the complexity of admiring someone deeply, wanting to make them proud, and yet perhaps never fully articulating just how much that person meant to him while he still had the chance. The regret in his words was palpable, and yet there was also something healing about finally letting it out, as though speaking the truth, even now, offered some form of release and closure. He also touched on how grief has a way of reshaping your perspective on everything, on time, on priorities, on the conversations you put off. His father's death forced him to confront not just the loss itself, but the version of himself that had been too guarded, too caught up in the forward momentum of life to slow down and say the things that mattered most. The response to Mark's revelation has been nothing short of overwhelming. Fans flooded social media with messages of support, sharing their own stories of losing parents and the words left unsaid. The comment sections across platforms like Instagram, X, and TikTok became an unexpected gathering place for collective grief and solidarity. Many fans praised Mark for his bravery in speaking out, with countless viewers saying that his words mirror their own experiences in ways they had never expected to see reflected by a celebrity of his stature. Entertainment media outlets quickly picked up the story, with many highlighting the contrast between the often lighthearted, fun-loving image of Mark on morning television and this deeply vulnerable side he revealed. Several commentators noted that moments like this are precisely why audiences connect so deeply with personalities like Mark and Kelly, because beneath the charm, there is genuine humanity. Kelly herself has been a pillar of support, and those who follow the couple closely noted that this kind of openness is consistent with the authentic relationship dynamic the two have always modeled publicly. What Mark Consuelos has done here is more than just share a personal story. He has given permission to men especially, but to everyone, to acknowledge the things that go unsaid, the emotions that get buried beneath duty, culture, and time. In a media landscape that often rewards celebrity revelation only when it comes with scandal or drama, Mark's moment stands apart because it is rooted in something universal, the love between a parent and a child, and the grief that comes when that relationship is no longer possible in the way we once knew it. This is also a reminder of how public figures, even the most put-together ones, carry private weight that the cameras never capture. Mark's willingness to speak his truth adds depth to his public persona and, perhaps more importantly, gives others the courage to have the conversations they've been postponing. Looking ahead, it would not be surprising to see Mark continue to open up in more intentional ways, perhaps through longer-form interviews, a memoir, or even segments on Live with Kelly and Mark dedicated to mental health, grief, and the importance of emotional honesty. His vulnerability here has clearly struck a chord, and that kind of authentic connection with an audience is something that could genuinely shape a career and a legacy. There's also the possibility that this moment of public openness leads to deeper conversations within his own family, with his children, with Kelly, and perhaps with himself. Mark Consuelos stepped into the light this week in a way he never has before, not as the charming TV host or the dashing actor, but as a grieving son with a truth he could no longer keep silent. His father may be gone, but in finally speaking those unspoken words, Mark has ensured that the love and the lessons between them are heard, not just by him, but by millions of people around the world who needed to hear it too. Now we want to hear from you. Have you ever lost someone and wished you had said something while you still had the chance? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This is a safe space, and your story matters. If this video moved you even a little, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who might need to hear it today, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss a story like this one. We'll see you in the next one.